Hi, Mr. Klimberg here again, and I just wanted to do a very quick little discussion with you about two guys, Tycho Brahe and Johannes Kepler. Now these are guys that you've just read some notes about, and if you ask me, they're two of the more interesting guys in physics though. They are not exactly what you think of as being sort of the normal, boring sort of physicists. Start with Tycho Brahe. First of all, I know when you're reading his name, you might have pronounced it lots of different ways. I usually actually pronounce it as Brahe or something like that, but a few years ago I was actually told that it should be pronounced Brahe. I don't know, it sounds kind of weird to me, but hey, Tycho. Let's call the guy Tycho. Tycho, you've got to understand, was very good at collecting data. He basically convinces this king to let him build Uraniborg, this wonderful observatory. For the time, there was nothing better out there. He builds this wonderful observatory and spends years now looking at the sky every night and measuring all these different things for all these different objects that he sees up there, getting all of these wonderful measurements, better than anybody's ever seen before. But then he doesn't know what the heck to do with it. Okay? He's got tons of numbers. It'd be like me giving you just books and books and books of data. You really don't understand what you're supposed to be doing with all of it. That's kind of the place where Tycho Brahe found himself after he collected all this information. Another weird thing you should know about Tycho is that apparently once he got into an argument with another person about some sort of math formula, they ended up doing the old duel, with swords and all that sort of stuff. In the fight, Tycho actually got his nose sliced clear off, and for the rest of his life, he used an artificial nose. It was a metal one hung onto his face with like little hooks, and he'd wear it on his face. So, kind of a weird-looking guy. But anyways, Tycho eventually, later on in his career, hooks up with this younger guy named Johannes Kepler. Now, Johann's a bit of an oddball himself. Okay, he was known to his friends as the sleepwalker, because he would literally walk around as though he were asleep, just thinking about stuff. He said that sometimes he would just start thinking about something and then sort of wake up out of this daze, having walked miles and miles away. There's stories of him walking all the way into the next town from wherever he lived. There's also a story that once he walked right into a lake, and it was only when water's passing his head and stuff that he kind of wakes up and realizes what's going on. So not exactly the most normal guy. He also claimed that he could hear the planets as they were gliding along on these giant crystal spheres that he imagined them being attached to, and that if you just listen carefully, you could hear them too. Anyways, one thing about Kepler though is, even though he was a little bit eccentric, that just means weird, right? Anyways, even though he was a little bit weird, he was very good at coming up with lots of theories. Now, sometimes these theories were junk. He would just come up with lots and lots and lots of theories. But if you do come up with lots and lots of theories, maybe one of them's bound to be right. So you got to kind of look at it that way. Now, Johannes Kepler gets all of this information that Tycho Brahe's been collecting and starts going through it and comes up with the 3 laws of planetary motion, the ones that you've just been reading about. The weird part is that even if you look back at Kepler's stuff that he was working on, given that he was a little bit weird and all that, the actual math that he was doing was wrong. Somehow, though, he actually ended up with the right answer. It's sort of like when you're working on a test on some question, and you're kind of making some guesses about how you should be doing it, and you're doing these numbers, and in the end, you get the right answer, and it's sort of a fluke just because of the way things canceled out. You made one mistake, but then you made another mistake later, and the 2 mistakes canceled each other out somehow. That's sort of an idea. So it's sort of a fluke that we even have Kepler's 3 laws of motion from him. They really do work quite well, though, and even to present day, we do still use those 3 laws of motion for predicting the motion of objects that are in orbit around things. They work actually really well for that sort of stuff. So there's your little background about Kepler or Brahe. Hope you enjoyed it. Have some fun studying the rest of the stuff. Bye-bye.